What is going on, my friends and crew? I'm Alex Crew, and welcome to my first toy review. Not that that's important, but whatever. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Combiner Wars Leader Class G1 Megatron. Now, a couple of things before I get into this. I just want to say that this is probably one of my favorite Megatron figures, probably one of the best Megatron figures out there. Though I don't believe that it competes with the masterpiece, G1 Megatron. But, before I blather on, let's just get into this review. First things first, let's take a look at the box. The front of the box looks pretty nice. Got some nice artwork of Megatron there. Of course, it says Transformers over there. Side of the box, the symbol. Back of the box, it talks about how Megatron is a ruthless Decepticon leader. Says he transforms in 15 steps. Side of the box, we get a tall piece of the artwork, and it says Combiner Wars. It's pretty much everything that the box has to offer. Nothing on the bottom, just a bunch of warnings. Says it's made in Vietnam. Top of the box, just another one of those, and let's get that out of here. Now, moving on to the figure. First things first, I do have to say, I really love this metallic silver that they used for the figure. It makes him look truly like he's made out of metal, which any Transformer should. Now, as far as details go, it's pretty nice. He's silver with red, obviously. Something I did notice about the arm cannon was that it made particular efforts to look much like the scope of a gun, even though he does not transform into a gun. You have the knob that would adjust the scope, and those weird things on top. It's wider on one end and tapers off into a thinner end on the other. And anyway, let's talk more in detail about this figure. Apart from the silver mechanical paint, which looks really nice, he does have some purple bits and red bits mixed in there, and that also looks really nice. There's some silver paint here on the cannon. As far as generally the aesthetic of the figure goes, it's very nice looking. It's very pleasing to look at. As far as durability and weight of the figure, it seems pretty durable. The plastic is weak in some areas, and in some areas the paint might start to chip a little bit, but other than that, it feels very durable. The paint may chip easily, but probably not too easily, so you don't need to worry about that. The plastic quality is quite nice. It feels sturdy. It doesn't feel like it's going to crumble in your hands like most Transformers. Everything tabs in very nicely in robot mode. Everything works together really, really well. There's practically no kibble except for the gigantic treads on the side, on the back. Now, the face sculpt on this figure looks really, really nice. They sort of captured his G1 essence almost, though I feel he looks wrong. I'm not sure if it's the thin nose or the large eyes or just generally the small head, but something about his face just feels off. I'm not sure what it is, but he does have some fantastic light piping, which is rendered in a darkish red color, as you can see here. As far as finer details on the figure, down here on the abdomen you get a very clearly printed Decepticon symbol, as well as details on the ab area that look very similar to his G1 appearance, though this is meant to be an updated appearance. Of course, he's still got the black underwear. As far as details on the arm cannon go, it's very nicely sculpted and painted, though I feel that there's a bit too much black on the arm cannon. There's some silver there at the tip, but that just does not seem to cut it, for me anyway. As far as the legs go, legs are quite nice, though there is just a few problems with them, as we'll get into. Now, let's move on to the posability of the figure. Head can rotate all the way 360 around. Head is also on a hinge that allows him to look up that far and look down that far. The arms are on this soft ratchet that allows them to rotate. They can rotate all the way around unhindered. Arm shifts back and shifts forward. Elbow is on 4 clicking ratchets that allows it to bend 90 degrees, but due to the ratchets, that of course does limit the ratchets in the shoulders that allow it to move out as well. On top of, generally this figure is very heavily ratcheted, which does somewhat limit the articulation. Swivel at the wrist, which is very rare among Transformers figures, at least Hasbro ones. The side skirts move out, but the front skirts do not move out. That's all one piece, and it goes into the transformation. Leg, or swivel at the thigh. I thought at first there was a swivel there, but no, the swivel's inside, revealing some nice mechanical detailing here. Swivel at the thigh. Now, this is where the figure starts to get a little bad, per se. Bend at the knee. Barely. It's ratcheted, so of course that limits the leg movement, or the knee movement anyway. Leg kicks forward that far, and kicks back that far. Legs are ratcheted and split out that far. And there's no articulation at the ankles except forward, but that is for the transformation. Posability on this figure is somewhat limited, but you can get a few dynamic poses out of him. Before we move on to the transformation, I do want to point out that Megatron has a few accessories. He has this red missile that plugs into the thin end of his cannon and can fire due to a button mechanism. 2 smaller guns, a sort of rifle carbine-looking gun, and what looks like a pistol or a missile rack. The rifle has a peg at the end of it. This thing has a small slot in it, and you can combine them to form a larger gun. Overall, this kind of seems useless because he does have a gigantic fusion cannon on his arm. But whatever. Let's just move on to the transformation. First, shift this mechanism up. I should also mention that this allows to free up a waist swivel. Lift his chest up like this. Like so. Make sure that it's flat up against. Then take the front of his underwear, shift it down, straighten out his arms, make sure that his hands are straight, and shift down these forearm pieces. Straighten out the legs, and then shift his arms together. There are 2 tabs here on the cannon that plug into slots in the arm, here and here. Make sure that they plug in order for the tank mode to work properly. Extend the nozzle of the cannon and split apart these 2 tread pieces and shift them up. There are 2 tabs here and here that will plug into the side of the chest, like so. Now moving around to the legs. Click the feet up so that they're like that. And there's a break here, directly below the knee. As you can see, there's the hinge here for it. And it will click out and shift forward. You want to make sure that the legs are straight, otherwise it won't work properly. there's a tab here and a tab here that will plug in here and here. Shift it forward and click them in. This piece here at the back can either lay down flat like this, or you can shift it up so that it sort of covers the back of the cannon. However, that does prevent the turret from rotating, so I prefer to keep it like that. And here we have the tank mode. I do have to say that this is probably one of the best tank modes, or generally alternate modes, that we've ever gotten with Megatron. The only real problem I have with it is it's pretty empty down here. It's pretty flat apart from the obvious head, though that isn't really a problem, considering that you're not going to be displaying your Megatron like this. Unless you are, and then you're just weird. The treads, unlike most Transformers, are actual treads. Well, would you look at that? So, it can roll across most surfaces, generally carpeted surfaces, pretty well. No plastic wheels, so, well, it doesn't really roll across loose carpeting very well, but, of course, articulation on a tank isn't really that much. The turret can rotate. The tank can't move up or down. And you know how I mentioned this missile earlier? Well, let me show you what it do. Once you load the missile into the barrel of the tank, you will hear a slight click. And you see this big red button here? Well, watch and learn. And there you go. It's good. For size comparisons, Lego First Order Stormtrooper, Minecraft Creeper action figure, Deluxe Class Classics Starscream, and the 2007 movie Voyager class Optimus Prime. And now to robot mode for some more size comparisons. Lego First Order Stormtrooper, official Minecraft Creeper action figure, Deluxe Class Classics Starscream, and the 2007 movie Voyager class Optimus Prime. Now, before I end the video, I do want to mention a modification that I made to this figure. Well, modification, I say. And that's putting it mildly. If you don't like this gigantic cannon, thin cannon piece sticking out of Megatron's fusion cannon, then what you can do is you can just pull it out. But the thing is, it's kind of apparently on a track in there, and yeah, a peg right here kind of snapped off and was lost to the ether. But yeah, screw it. It's good. Makes it look a lot better, don't it? Yeah, anyway, that was the toy review. Bye.